Besides design mistakes and the aging of your collectibles, the packaging itself can also be an issue. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Collectible Headaches. Let's first start off with the Magna Morpher. Now the Magna Morpher, everyone who's a fan of Power Rangers will know that it was a reissued and slight redesign of the Aura Changer from Timeranger. Now it being redesigned is not the actual cause of the issue. It's actually the design fault of the way you use the Aura Changer itself. It always seems that the two-piece morphers, while cool, I like them because it gives you more functionality and features that you can do with them, they always have issues because of the way they're designed, because they have to interact with two different pieces. The key that has to be slotted in can actually cause damage. Now, when they designed the Aura Changer / Magna Morpher with the key inserting, they did make sure that it would be fairly safe, and that if you quickly jab the key in and you mishit it, that the plastic front can pop out with no real issue. I've done it many times, and it rarely, if I've seen it any time, of this break, because it simply slots in and you're good to go. The issue that comes with the Magna Morpher is the actual area where you slot in the strap. Now, because you're putting so much force on this, if you miss and you do weird things and you push it in really hard, these plastic bits that hold the strap on can break. But I do notice that if you look at the Zeoniter pieces, the plastic pins that hold the strap in place are much thicker than the ones that were done on the Magna Morpher. As you can see on mine, you can clearly see that I actually had to repair it many years ago. And this happened when this was brand new. I didn't do this 20 years later where, the plastic's a little bit more older, a little bit more brittle. Now, one of the biggest issues on your collectible items that you can deal with is the loss of paint. Now, it's inevitable whether, as a kid, you didn't care about the packaging in the past, but now you regret it because you don't really have a place to put your items anymore. You have to put them in a box and they can be all thrown around, and eventually, the paint job will come off over time. And this can especially happen while you have it stored inside its regular box being protected. Now, if you ever noticed, this is not really a problem with the Power Ranger toy line because we really don't use the egg carton stuff. We usually end up using plastic, so it's for the most part okay with that. Most of the Super Sentai toys use the egg carton thing rather than plastic like we do. I highly suggest that you do not take out the plastic. Now, the plastic in there can be annoying because it's all irregularly cut, bits and pieces stick out over the thing, so when you're putting it away, it can jam on top of the flaps, and it can be annoying, and you would be tempted to just simply take out the plastic. But the egg carton material itself can make the paint come off. It's just simply the matter of either heat from storage, you left it inside your attic or a closet and heat builds up, and if something's touching on the paint job, it will rub off. I've actually had this happen with my Maji phone and the King brace. These were loosely put away, and for many years they were touching each other, heat and whatnot. The paint actually transferred to the leather, and I still haven't really be able to get this off. So I suggest put it in a Ziploc bag if you don't have the original box, and if you do have the original box and you have the egg carton design, always keep the plastic lining in there. Now, there's a couple of things you can do to deal with that plastic lining in those boxes. What you can do is take it out and cut out all the excess and then tape it to the egg carton. It won't be perfect, but it will be secured enough so that it will not cause major issues. I did it with the Legacy Saba and the Legacy Dragon Dagger boxes. Next up, unfortunately, is another design fault, specifically with the Japanese Kyoryuger line. There's a specific combination that Gabutera does with Paragordon, and that's when they're doing their flying mode. This mode, unfortunately, you cannot do because the way it connects on these 4 connectors in the back part, all 4 connectors will immediately break. It doesn't matter if you do it once or twice, and it affects, unfortunately, every version of Gabutera, whether you have the black version, you have the original colored version, or the Tobo Spino alternate version. What really annoyed me with this specific problem was that they dealt with this in the Dino Thunder line. Remember, the Drago has a combination with the Thundersaurus Megazord where it can fly and it connects the exact same way. They did it in a really good way that didn't damage the toy, and they even made it so that it can actually reinforce itself. So I don't understand what happened here. And it's not even the excuse of, well, there's a battery compartment. Both the Thundersaurus Megazord and Kyoryuzin both have battery compartments where you can connect the other combinations. The only difference they had with Kyoryuzin is that Perigordon's weight is on all 4 connectors in the back. While there's actually more connectors on Kyoryuzin compared to the Thundersaurus Megazord, the way they did it on the Thundersaurus was much more robust. The difference is that the clips on Kyoryuzin's back are much more smaller and Perigordon's connectors are fatter. The second way they did the Thundersaurus one, where it didn't break, they made 2 outer clips on the back of the Thundersaurus that clipped into it, so that's not actually being forced in, it's just simply being slided back and locked onto the side. The bottom connector on the Thundersaurus Megazord was much more thicker compared to Kyoryuzin's connector, and it's able to hold it in place. And then on top of that, they were worried maybe it might be too much weight, so they actually added an extending piece to the Drago's tail so that when it's just in flight mode, you can actually rest it on the table, but it wasn't really necessary because it was still strong enough, and even in alternate modes like the surfing mode, that tail does not even reach to the bottom of the table, so it was strong enough as is. No matter how little you try to push it in, the moment you put it in, it's too much force and will instantly break. I tested various things of repairing mine. I had the only way I was able to get the clips to not break, but even then it was like they were still loose, as I had to flood the entire back piece, because you can take the connectors out of the battery compartment, flood it with glue and other things, and then it was just able to keep them together. It was still broken, but it was able to at least keep them connected. It's mainly the 2 upper ones that break, but all 4 of them can break all at once. And for our last design flaw on the list is the Time Force Megazord shield formation. Now this was a design that was really annoying in general. The way you have to combine both the pink and red's wing piece in order to form the top part of the shield is already annoying enough. It has to fit behind the engines, and then you have to twist it around in order to get it up onto the 2 connectors. Problem is, the connectors on pink are way too big for the connectors on red. So after a couple of uses, they usually break. Now, one positive thing though, the way it's awkwardly connected is that it pretty much keeps them locked in even if the pins are broken. So it's like one of the few toys that if you do have broken pins, it does not affect it at all. And the design in general was such poorly thought out that no matter what, even if you didn't break it from the pins themselves, you can most likely would break it from just getting it out, because it's just so frustratingly annoying. You have to do it in this weird, awkward way that you have to lift one at a time in order to slide it out. So yeah, even if you do have the protective boxes, always make sure to be mindful of how the packaging is done. Thanks again for watching. If you like my content, you can hit the big red subscribe button down below and the bell for the notifications. And if you ran into an issue with the PR/Super Sentai item and you would like me to cover it, leave a comment below and I may do it in the next video.